Sure.
Hey everybody, my name is Ken, and good morning and welcome from beautiful Hawaii, Oahu, Hawaii. I'm relatively new to the Volkswagen community, so I don't have a YouTube site, and I'm not trying to be an influencer or anything. I'm just trying to give back to the Volkswagen community because I was looking for a tow bar for my 1973 Volkswagen Super Beetle. Really couldn't find anything. So I kind of figured out what I needed to do, and I just wanted to give back to the community by making this video. And let me just say up front, if someone sees this video, if you can download it, make it even better, go right ahead. You've got my permission. I just want you to basically keep the video up on the community so that someone else looking for a Super Beetle tow bar can basically find the video that I created. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to show you the tow bar that I had to buy. What I found out is that there is a specific tow bar, which is the kind that most people buy for trying to tow a bug, a Volkswagen bug. The Super Beetle, however, takes a special tow bar. And I want the camera person to go ahead and take a look at what I'm going to show you here. This is the Super Beetle tow bar, which was ordered from Empi. And you'll notice that around here there's a couple of tines which go into a mounting plate. And this mounting plate is basically mounted up underneath the Super Beetle chassis. So that's what I needed to do today. And if you take a look at this, there's a couple of holes that are pre-cut, two here, one on each of the front of the plate. And when you look underneath the Super Beetle, and I've got it jacked up here, and I'll cut later and show you what that looks like, there's actually a total of 6 screws in holes, casted female fittings underneath the front of the Super Beetle. And you need to take all 6 of those out because that's where the plate is going to go. So here's what those boats look like. They're 13 millimeter, and I may be only showing you 5 here, but trust me, it's a total of 6. And they're easily removed by a 13 millimeter socket. What I just did though is I just came back, you can stay there, came back from an auto parts place. I have to buy 13 millimeter hex bolts to replace them, because you're going to want to buy a bolt that's about 1/4 inch longer than the ones you take out. Why? Because essentially, you know, you're putting through your plate and screwing this back into the female fittings underneath. So I had to buy a total of 6 of these to replace the 6 that I did remove. So what you'll be looking for is an M8 1.25 and about 20 millimeters, which is what I have, is good. It's about a 1/4 inch, if you will, longer than the bolts that were removed, and that accounts for the extra width of the tow bar. So one thing you want to do though is before you put this tow bar plate up is you want to make sure that everything fits and everything works. And lo and behold, this made in China tow bar product did not fit into the tines easy. It was off maybe by about a width of the metal here, and I had to actually pull those out. So I went back to the parts place here on Oahu, Hawaii that sold this to me and said, what's the better thing to do? Should I bend these 2 tines on the tow bar, bend them outward so that they fit better, or should I put an expander in here and try to expand those tines? He said obviously the thing to do is to basically bend these tines because they're a little bit thinner in metal, as you can see here, so they'll be able to move a little bit easier. And then I asked him, well, what do we do? And we have to basically, in my case, move these tines out just a smidge to be able to fit. And the way to do that is your standard pipe wrench. So I'm not going to bend it out anymore, but what he did essentially was put a wrench on like so. And again, remember, we were trying to make them wider, so the best way to have leverage with this pipe wrench is to grab it and to pull outward, which will twist the tine out a little bit. And it's still a little snug, and that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grind down the insides, remove the paint, maybe a little bit of surface, so that that's going to go in easy. And the rest of the kit that you get, please stay there, is a couple of ball locks, which basically go through the tine. And then you have a cotter pin, and that's what you need to do to basically put this all together. So you've seen the pieces, and I'm going to assemble this underneath the new plate. So when I come back on the video, you'll be able to see what it looks like, and then we'll do the final assembly. One thing I will tell you up front, from those that have had these plates put on before, again, only for the Super Beetle do you have this tow bar and plate arrangement, is that once we're committed to putting this plate on underneath the front of the Super Beetle, keep in mind that this is what it now looks like looking forward on the Super Beetle. You got a couple of tines that are hanging. And once you've got this installed, now you're committed to forever, as long as it's up, make sure that you don't pull into a parking stall too far that's got concrete curbs. Because what happens is if you pull in too far, and you know these people that go too far and have the license plate and the front fender hanging over, they not only rub the bidding on the bottom of their cars, but in the Super Beetle case now you're going to hit tines up against concrete. And my good friend basically did that. He not only bent the tines, but the force backward from the plate hitting the concrete curb basically pushed out and broke off a couple of bolts and the female casting that they were bolted into. So if he decides to go back to another plate, it's going to be really tough. Okay, so just a short break, and I'll show you what it looks like after it's put up. Okay, everybody, this is Ken, and this is what the tow bar looks like now post-installation of the plate. I am going to slowly approach, and so that you don't lose much perspective here, come inside the left side of the front wheel to show you what that looks like in terms of the reinstalled plate. So I'm slowly moving in here and giving you an angle shot, and I know it looks kind of large, but this is what the plate looks like now underneath. Notice that the plate goes over that sway bar. It's bent that way to allow you to do it. Total of 6 of these 13mm nuts went back in, 2 pairs, and then 1 each here and on the other side, just forward of the double tines. I put a little anti-seize, on these bolts to help them go in a little bit better. Put them in also with washers. And for the 2 sets that you see here and on the other side, those went well with, the ratchet that I had mentioned before. But what I needed to use for the 2 13mm bolts, which were just underneath the double tine, was a flat 32. Flat 13. And I'm sure you've seen these before. So this made it go very, very simple putting it on. And if you don't have any of those, you'd have to use, I think, just a standard flat 13-inch wrench. Okay? So I think that's about it. The last thing I will tell you is I've never towed my Super Beetle before, but I think this is good karma should I ever break down. And now I need to learn a little bit about towing. I'm told that once we put this on a 2-inch standard hitch, we need to make sure we have a lock here, padlock of some sort so it doesn't pop up, and a chain around here and back to my truck. So just in case it does pop off, the Volkswagen won't go in one way and the truck the other way, because we do live on a hill and would be towing it up the hill. And of course, there's some admonishments here about if you're towing, never tow backwards and or move backwards, if you will. Got to figure out a way to put some towing lights in the back in case I ever need to tow, some portable ones. And of course, for my 73 Super Beetle, I'm going to need to make sure that I disconnect the battery, that I have the key in the ignition turned to the on position to release the steering lock so that I can tow. So thank you again. I'm not looking for any glory in this video. I just wanted to contribute to the community. Aloha. Take care.